So we're doing the Sydney Racing Review, and we're going to have a look at day 2 of the championships from Saturday, thanks to topsport.com.au, and I'm joined by pro punter Mark Rhoden. How are you, Mark?
Good, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, day 2 of the championships. How was the day? How did the day overall pan out for you?
Okay, we finished in front on the units, and I had a winning day myself. Track was really, it was worse than a heavy 8, which was a bit disappointing considering the amount of rain they got, or the small amount of rain they got really. And I found it quite hard to read that track pattern because we had identical wind conditions to the previous week. And in that case, it was up the inside and races up to 1,400 metres, and that wasn't the case on Saturday. It was quite different. So that did make it hard, but fortunately we found a couple of winners, and that got us out of trouble.
Okay, no worries. Well, yeah, we'll jump into it and have a quick look at each race. So race 1 was over the mile with 1,600 for the 2-year-olds. Untamed for Peter and Paul Snowden. Got the chocolates at 360 from Wheelhouse and Fayera. Anything in race 1 stand out for you for the 2-year-olds?
Well, no, unfortunately, I had a good crack at Postcode. You go see its last start. It was backing up off a big win at Hawkesbury with 62 kilos, rated really well. It's come right off that. I should have been more aware of that it was actually in its form. It was a bit of a spike rating, but I got a bit excited about the backup on the heavy track. I thought, well, it's, you know, he's a young improver. Maybe he's found that new level and seems to map well. Backup will be a plus on the heavy track, all that sort of stuff. But he's flying right up, and he's been passed by Untamed. Sorry, what was that, man?
The market liked it.
The market did like it, yeah. It was easy to see why off that big rating win at Hawkesbury the week before. Untamed's genuinely improved. It came back a level better than it had shown earlier in the summer, and has taken another step forward at 1,600 with Nash on. The run at Wheelhouse shows that Hawkesbury form was good because it couldn't get within 3.5 lengths of Postcode the previous Saturday at Hawkesbury. Obviously, he's still on the up, but he's been beaten in a photo. So I don't think there's anything with my rating of the race at Hawkesbury. I think that is going to prove to be a strong race, but Postcode just couldn't back up his big figure from the week before, and unfortunately took a backward step. Fayera's had a perfect run and gone well. Postcode we mentioned. Azalea, he was a strange one. You know, had one run back in February at 1,100. They were throwing him straight into 1,600 in the heavy track. He held his spot in the market, but he just had too much to do and was well beaten.
Fair enough. Race 2 was the listed South Pacific Classic over 1,400. IndyCar, pretty impressive win for Anthony Cummings and Tom Marquand, was $6 from Ice Bath and High Low. Did you have a bet in this race?
I did. I backed High Low. I thought at the early prices, Dash was too short and High Low was quite backable. They ended up pretty close together. Ice Bath was the one that was backed, and Nick Point was very solid again. Surely the market will be sick of him after Saturday. He's always had a rap on him, and he's just disappointed more often than not. High Low and Yadash sort of took each other on up front, which, well, it certainly got rid of Yadash and left High Low a bit of a sitting shot. IndyCar is a horse. He doesn't have a racing style that I like. He's very one-dimensional, always gets back, but and I wasn't sure how much speed there was going to be in this race, but with the two favourites really carving each other up a little bit, it gave IndyCar his chance. He'd come from last on the Kenzo to start before. He looked hopeless in the run, but managed to get up in the line at the 1,400 was a plus, and he's improved to a new peak. He always had the ability to have that in him. I just wasn't sure he was going to get those conditions on Saturday, but he got them and he won well. Ice Bath continues to race well. High Low we mentioned, having fun, just ran to its level. It's a midweek class was at best, I think, and then as with the others. But IndyCar got the conditions to suit and made the improvement and won well.
Okay, good stuff. Race 3 was the Provincial Championships final over the 1,400. through the cracks. A really impressive finish. Got the win. I think it was actually equal favourite at $6, so it was pretty wide open. From Moana Jewel and Oxford Tycoon. Don't think you had a bet here.
No, I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. This is I sort of missed through the cracks because I thought from his barrier he was going to be in completely the wrong spot for a 1400 metre race, but it was pretty clear even this early that that wasn't the case. And he was a fair bit bigger in the morning too, from memory. He was double. I know he's about $9, so but he was clearly a significant shortener once the track pattern had revealed itself, and he was actually coming out of the strongest of the qualifiers, where he ran second at Asharani at Newcastle. As I said, I was just worried about the map, so I priced him out of it. But once that map wasn't going to be as much of a problem, the market tuned right into him, and he's run right up to that effort from the start. You go at Newcastle, and he's got the money. Something's gone horribly wrong with Asharani. I don't know what's happened there. She's been beaten lengths and lengths and lengths, but obviously pulled up with an issue. Well, we say through the cracks, and Asharani came through the strongest qualifier. Moana Jewel came through the weakest, but still, she's so honest and racing so well. She was able to get into second, and most of these others, Oxford Tycoon's about going to his best. Yeah, it's just these style of horses. They're just going to turn up when they're going to turn up. So there's not a huge amount you can say about them. Through the cracks, came in a good lead-up form, got a good run and won well, and that's about the story of the race.
No worries. Race 4 was for the 2-year-old fillies, the Group 2 Percy Sykes over the 1200, the well-travelled away game, who seems to have raced everywhere and been everywhere for months on end. Got another win. For Mara and Eustace and Glenn Boss, $3.20 from Vangelic and See You Soon. What did you think of the race?
Yeah, she's just an iron filly, this runaway game. I backed a couple. I backed Vangelic, who ran really well, and for Lizzie, thinking they'd find the rails and thinking that'd be the place to be. Vangelic had the rails and was super, really. Just ran into a better horse on the day. But it certainly wasn't necessary to be on the rails. I thought actually being off the fence was going to be a disadvantage, and it wasn't. So that sort of coloured my thinking there. But Vangelic certainly wasn't a bad bet at around 20 to 1 on Betfair Weight. It's gone really well. And, a few of those have been up for a while. See You Soon always gets back and runs on. Giselle, same boat. She was giving away a bit of weight on Saturday, but yeah, just sort of ran to her figure. And away game just continues to meet every challenge, more or less. Second in the slipper now, winning this race. That'll do no harm to her value. Tough as nails. Really, really impressive stuff.
They're going to give her a break anytime soon, I wonder?
I don't know. I mean, if Brisbane was still on, they'd probably take her there. But I think you would think that would be it for now, but she's done an incredible job.
Race 5 was the Arrowfield Sprint for the 3-year-olds over the 1200. Splintex, the winner for Mark Newnham at $9.50 from Flit and Anaheed. Another race I think you steered clear of.
I did. It would have been Cosmic Force or nothing, so I'm glad I did stay out. He's pulled up lane, but he's becoming a bit of a costly horse. Cosmic Force. He's very good on his day, but it's starting to look like he needs things to go right. Splintex was actually coming out of a very high rating race, but it had a bit of a let up, and that race he did win at Rose Hill back in February. He dominated from the front. There's only 6 horses, so I thought it was a bit of a different setup here. But he was able to hang on the last bit of 1200. Probably saw him out, but he just got there. Flit actually went back and was rails and run. Just missed. Interestingly, her 2 really good runs this prep have both been Randwick 1200. So maybe, and freshish, at least. One was first up and one was sort of off a little bit of a let up back from 1600. So that might be the key to her going forward for the remainder of her career, just kept fresh. Anaheed, just ran her sort of race. And the rest of them, True Detective is one I would mention. I'd love to see a jockey change on him. He got into trouble early and worked home quite well. Ran better than his SP of $26, in my opinion, anyway. He's another one who's been a bit costly over the journey, but he finds his right race, he can probably win again.
Good stuff. Race 6 was the first of the Group 1s, the Oaks, over the 1.5 miles. You told us last week that if Colette does her thing, then she'll be winning, and it turned out to be that. It was really impressive. I think 2.5 lengths in the end, but just looked to always have it in her keeping. So she saluted at $3 from Toffee Tongue and Quintessa.
Yeah, I wish they were all that easy. Unfortunately, they don't all pan out like you think you're going to, not to that extent anyway. But that was really, you don't like to think like this when you're watching a race, but going past the post the first time, I thought, wow, he's got her into an incredible spot here. Probably all they decided to go back on, and she was over racing a little bit. I thought, well, and that's the main danger. I thought, well, what can go wrong here? And nothing did. She put them away. Yeah, on Friday I outlined all the reasons why I thought that would be the case, and it panned out perfectly. That was a great result. Toffee Tongue and Quintessa. We saw this last week in the Derby, where the 1 and 2 from the Tulloch Stakes backed up and Quinella the Derby. Well, we've had the trifecta from the Adrian Knox come out in 1, 2, 3 the Oaks, just showing, especially I suppose with the more inexperienced horses, the value of fitness when they're getting out to this trip for the first time. On wet tracks in particular. So I think that's proven itself to be the case here. We actually backed Toffee Tongue last week at big odds, and she ran well, although no match for Colette. And same story here. So she's doing a great job for her connections at the moment. But yeah, there's a bit of chat about probably Opie Boston doing the wrong thing on Probabeel. I don't think she ever beats Colette at 2,400, to be honest. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay, race 7 was the Cup over the 2 miles. Etta James, a little bit of an upset at $14 from the Chosen One and Raheen House. I think you backed Raheen House and seemed to run okay.
Yeah, I thought it was the winner on the turn. It was just tracking into it up the inside nicely. Got into a bit of a bumping duel with its stablemate Mustajir after that, unfortunately, which I don't know if that cost it the race, but it didn't help. Etta James' first run for Mara Eustace, had some 3,200 metre form, had the very much informed Group 1 jockey Glenn Boss, riding the Group 1 race-to-race double here. This was actually backed Etta James. It was well over 20 to 1. Yeah, it was around $26. Yeah. But it's been very solid. Got the money, and the Chosen One stayed the trip and got his right conditions too. It's gone to its very best. Raheen House, similar to the 3-year-olds I mentioned just earlier, was coming in with a 7-day backup on the very testing track, and I thought that was going to be a plus, and it was. It's run really well again, and just run into 2 who've gone to their absolute best figures on the day. Young Muscle didn't see out the trip, I'd say. It was in trouble before the turn. And Mustajir had that bumping duel with Raheen House when it was trying to get a run. Obviously didn't help. Yeah, not much more you can really say about the others. Pretty one-pace dower stayers among the rest of them. Yeah, and I bet Raheen House ran well, but just fell short, unfortunately.
Race 8 was the Queen Elizabeth over the 2,000, and just coming down the straight, it was looking like a bit of a battle of the Raiders. Adayeb and Danon Premium. Adayeb with Mark Rhoden in the saddle got the win. $4.20 favourite in the end. Very Elegant got through to run second, and yeah, Danon Premium third. What did you think of the race? And did you gave this a wide berth in terms of betting?
I ended up having a small bet myself on the winner, but that was because, as I said in the preview on Friday, I was just wanted to know what the weather was going to do, which way the track was going to play. Even then, I wasn't confident. But in simple terms, it was wet Adayeb, dry Danon Premium, and it was certainly wet. So, and the reason I didn't give out a selection in the morning, I thought was, well, when the track condition reveals itself, the market's just going to go that way, and you're probably not going to end up with much value. But Adayeb's price held up remarkably well, given the wet track. They were backing things like Tauhouse Shark and Very Elegant were both very solid. Melody Bell was well backed. They came for Melody Bell because of the wet track, although she did get back out late. But yeah, Adayeb was the one I thought might be off the map, but he wasn't. And he won really well. Then on Premium looked the winner at the 300, and I'm sure it's just the heavy tracks got him late. He was able to quicken, but wasn't able to maintain that momentum to the line. If they fronted up next Saturday on over 2,000 metres on a dry track, I'd be backing Get On Premium without doubt. But
Okay.
it really was that kind of race, and yeah, it's just unfortunate some of these really good meetings, the track and the pattern and how testing the track is having so much to say about it, because it's probably robbing us of a few closer contests. But that's the way it goes, I suppose.
What do you think of TRK Shark? See, leaves itself a hell of a lot to do.
Yeah, he's a horrible horse. I mean, he's so talented. He's a horrible horse to back, really. He'll win races because he's so good going forward. But I wouldn't think I'll be taking any sort of short price about him ever again. He just, he can only race at the top level now, and he really has that very, very hard to back racing style.
Anything they can do about that, or that's just him?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that might be him. Certainly the way they've trained him for a few preps now.
Yep.
I think they're stuck with him.
Yeah,
Should mention very elegant if this applies to Colette from the Oaks as well, and probably Master of Wine from this race too. If the internationals can't get out here for the Caulfield Cup, that could be a very interesting clash between the three of them.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, it probably won't be the same quality of the Caulfield Cups we get when the imports are here. It'll be a more interesting, might be a more interesting betting contest like we had in the old days.
Back to the old days, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
An all Aussie or maybe an all Aussie and a Kiwi Spring Carnival.
Yeah.
Race 9 was. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, it obviously didn't have the same quality, but we seemed to find it enjoyable back in those days.
I know I know that, like the Melbourne Spring Carnival. Trev says the big handicaps in that were just the really good betting races. Pretty tough these days, obviously, with the so many different form lines from all over the world.
Well, nothing stays the same in the game. We know that, so we just have to adapt.
All right, race 9 was the last of the Group 1s, which was the Legacy over the mile. Conte Patiro, good result for you. Second Group 1 win at $9 from pretty short favourite Funstar and Dance in third. Yeah,
she's a really good wet tracker and just a very honest mare in general, Conte Patiro. I should have locked in a bit more of the early price. It was around $13-ish in the morning. Still a good result. I liked her and Amangiri and avoided Funstar, and Funstar's run really well, and I thought they might ride her more positively, but I can see why they didn't, and you certainly couldn't blame the ride for getting beaten here. She's run really well. And the real wet tracker Dance is probably gone about as well as it can and run third. But yeah, good to avoid Funstar at the short and good to get something out of Conte Patiro, who had a bit of a tough run in the Doncaster, I thought. Another one on a quick backup on a heavy track, so was more than happy to be on at a reasonable price. And this was a bit like watching Colette, actually. This was never going to lose. You wouldn't believe it was a $10 shot the way it was travelling in the run, and won very well.
Couple of easy watches.
Yeah, there's more of us.
And the last of the day was the Group 2 Sapphire over the 1200 for the girls. White Moss at $10 from Fasika and Bangkok.
Yeah, the trick here was that there was a jockey change from Kathy O'Hara to Nash Rawiller in the morning, on the morning of the race for White Moss, and he's just ridden it in a typical Nash style, very, very aggressively, and that's the best run of her career. She's flown. Anyone who backed Fasika can consider themselves a bit stiff, not that they were unlucky in the race, but they've just run into White Moss on its birthday, and Fasika's beaten the others pretty convincingly, so that they've been a bit unfortunate there. White Moss has actually done this before when they've sort of taken charge from the front, but for Kathy O'Hara, but they don't do it every start, and I'm at a loss as to understand why. It's clearly the way they get the best result with it. But anyway, Nash put the handlebars down, as they say, and he's really never going to get beaten. Glad I avoided the race. I was probably going to back Savatiano, if anything, with my original read on the track pattern, but she was no value anyway, and She's run okay, but that wasn't the right spot by this stage, I don't think. Yeah, we'll just see where these mares turn up in coming weeks. Some will be dropping back to benchmark sort of races and better suited there. I think that there'll be a decent mares race for Sika. She's desperately going to race. She's going really well.
Okay, and I was just going to say overall, in terms of what we take out of the meeting, it's not quite the end of the carnival. There's some good racing next week, but
Right.
probably a bit tricky, and maybe just to see where they kind of come up. There'll be a few going in the paddock, but just see where they appear.
Yeah, it's a hard one too when you get tracks like this where so many are totally unsuited to, and conversely, some that can look to have run well have been very well suited. So it's I think you really just got to do your tapes, and it's more about forgiving than definitely being on a next start, because it's going to depend on what sort of track they run into next time as well. So it is unfortunate that they're serving up tracks like this. It doesn't guarantee the best draws winning in all cases, and it does make a bit of this sort of analysis a bit trickier too. But that's what we're dealt, and we'll just have to deal with it.
Came out of the day with a profit, so fairly happy with that.
Yep. Yeah. No, that was good. It was a fairly tricky meeting. I thought a couple of favourites went over and we ducked them, and to finish in front wasn't a bad result really.
Okay, good stuff. So it's Monday morning. We're recording, so you're on today at Warwick Farm and a few more meetings over the next few days.
That's right. Warwick Farm knocked around by scratchings a bit, unfortunately. Still got one definite betting race there, but yeah, plenty on. We've got Newcastle tomorrow, Kenzo Wednesday, Wyong Thursday before the weekend. So plenty to keep us occupied between now and then.
Good stuff. All right, well, we'll have a bit of a chat later in the week and have a look at next Saturday.
Yep, that'll be great.
Cheers.